Yo, what's up? So I needed a new gimbal. I had this thing right here, the Weebill Lab, but it wasn't able to hold some of my bigger setups. So enter this thing right here, the Zhiyun Crane 2S. So I've only had it for a week thus far, but I've been super impressed with it. So we're gonna talk about what my experience has been thus far, why I think it was amazing value, and we're gonna go over some test footage that I've done. Actually, speaking of that test footage, let's go ahead and roll that B-roll that I got with it here right now. All right, hopefully you like that little opening sequence. By the way, welcome. This is Creative Tech Lab. My name is Leo. This is probably your first time here, so thank you for clicking on this video. That makes you an amazing, amazing person. Before we get started on the video though, I do need to make a quick disclaimer. Zhiyun did send this gimbal over to me. However, in the spirit of ethics, they have no input on the review and they're seeing it at the first time, just like you guys are here right now. All right, so let's talk about some things. First, we're going to talk about the size, the design, and the build qualities. So this is an improvement to the original Crane 2, which was a cult classic amongst most videographers here. So here we have a few just upgrades on different things. We have new motors that can hold even heavier setups than what I have on here now. We have locking mechanisms that's improved over the Crane 2. And we also have the good locking mechanisms here, not like what are on the Weebill Lab, which used to drive me nuts. We also have this nice black and gold finish here. That's a nice look. Then there's also this carbon fiber here on the grip, which looks really cool, but also feels really good in the hand as well. Now, from a usability standpoint, all those upgrades make for a great user experience. So the locking mechanisms, again, are the good locking mechanisms, and it makes the gimbal a lot easier to balance there because you can lock each axis while you're working on the other. That also helps with transporting the gimbal as well, because now you can lock it, it's not flopping around in your bag, or if you're carrying it in like your tripod pocket for your bag as well. What sets this gimbal apart from a lot of the other gimbals is the flex mount system. So you would balance this gimbal as you normally would in horizontal mode, but you could quickly take it here, slide it into this piece right here, and be in vertical mode for your Instagram stories or TikTok or any vertical video formats, as those are getting popular here. The quick release system that they have on this gimbal is also amazing. It's really easy to just put the gimbal into sleep mode, take it off if you want to go handheld, and then put it right back on and pick up where you left. But an extra thing that they thought about was on the bottom of this quick release plate, there is also 1/4 thread. So you could attach whatever it is your tripod mount is on the bottom of this here, balance it, take it off, put it on a tripod or whatever other accessory you need to. Then when you take it off the tripod, go handheld and then put it right back on here and never miss a beat of having to rebalance, and you just keep going. Perfect run and gun situation there. The other smart thing that I like about this gimbal is, particularly on the roll axis, it's really firm. So when you're trying to make those micro adjustments to get the perfect balance, it's a lot easier to do that than it has been on past models as well. We also have an improved screen on the gimbal here, so you could pretty much get done everything that you need to. It's not touchscreen, but you could get everything that you need to done here without having to be fumbling and bumbling around in a phone app here. You could do everything on the gimbal. And speaking of improvements of things that are on the screen, it also has an auto tune function as well. So remember before on your older gimbals, when it is after you got your perfect balance, you'd be going in and trying to fine tune each motor and get the right settings for whatever camera was on there. You no longer have to do that. You hit the auto tune button, it goes through its different motions, and then you're good to go there. It automatically done there again. Real good ease of use there from Zhiyun. All right, so for me, the setup that I most needed a bigger gimbal for is this one here, the A7S III with the Sigma 24-70. Now this is well within the weight limits of this gimbal, but it does make the camera a little front heavy because the lens is so long, so you do need a bigger gimbal for that. And then I also wanted to get something that I could potentially grow into, because this gimbal right here can hold much bigger setups than this, even some smaller cinema cameras like your FX6s or your Canon C70s or something like that. Now I'm actually shooting on the A7S III right now to do this video. So this is the A7 III, but it's a very similar setup. One of the things you might notice that compared to some of the newer gimbals that are out there, this still has the same old school 90-degree look there, so it would be blocking a screen like the A7 III. However, Zhiyun does include just some little Allen wrenches, and you could take this piece off right here, move the roll axis down. It should be an easy modification to do, and then that would put you at the 45-degree angle to keep it here. But to be honest with you, so far the gimbal has performed really well, and I've really liked my experience in the short time that I've had it, especially in the shots that I showed you on the beach. That is a rocky area right there, so it's not easy to actually get your balance there, but the gimbal performed just fine. I primarily use it in pan follow mode, but it has all the regular modes that you're accustomed to: pan follow, lock mode, go mode for your fast moving shots there, POV for your more in-person look, and then vortex mode as well for that going round and round, which most people think is overused there. Let's talk about size a little bit. Depending on where you're coming from, this might seem a little bit intimidating to you, especially if you're coming from a smaller setup. I know it is a little bit heavier than some of the newer gimbals from some of the other companies out there, but what I can say is in my use of it thus far, I've been using it from anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours at a time, and I haven't feel any fatigue from holding it there. Now typically when I'm holding it, I have two hands on it, I have it close to my body, but I don't feel the extra weight on there that some people have been talking about, because it might be about a half a pound or a pound heavier than some of the other offerings. That doesn't really show up over at least 2 hours. You know, I try to get my workouts in. It hasn't really hindered me from feeling really tired with the setup there. Now in my test footage, I try to do a lot of stuff at 24 frames per second just so you guys could see exactly how it did perform. I did mix in a couple 60 frames per second there, because who doesn't like a little slow-mo, but all my shots came out mostly smooth. There are a couple shots where you could see that little bounce there. That is not the fault of the gimbal, that is user error on my part there. As I said before, being on the beach there, trying to keep stable footing is not always the best thing, trying to do the ninja walk. So there's a couple shots there where you might see a little bit of that bounce, but still smooth. I did have IBIS turned on in the camera. Some cameras struggle with that on a gimbal. It gives you a weird look there. The Sony did completely fine there, so that was just an added thing of stabilization that you could see how it works with the A7S III. So looking at this gimbal, even just having it for a week, the Crane 2S is really an amazing value. Just the gimbal itself at the time of this recording is coming in at $539. That was on B&H Photo and Amazon, which is about $300 less than the DJI Ronin S2 that you could get there, which is what I would most likely compare this to. But where things get really interesting is when you start to look at the Pro bundle for the Zhiyun Crane 2S. So with the Pro bundle, you get this handle, which makes it handle like the Crane 3 or the Weebill S, where it's easy to go into underslung. I find this really helpful, especially for downtime when you're just carrying the gimbal. It's a lot easy to just hold it like this. You get the follow focus for nice smooth focus pulls there if you're using any manual lenses. You get the image transmission system there, which could be a product onto itself, and you get the phone holder so that if you are running it, you could use your phone as a monitor, which is really helpful. And then check this piece out right here. You could have dual cameras. Yes, you could have two cameras running on this thing. So I haven't gotten enough time to test that out there, but I've tried it with two A7 cameras, so the A7S and the A7 III there, running two different lenses. I'm probably going to try it with a little smaller camera on the top there, but it has been able to balance the payload, which is mind-blowing there. Anyway, I need a little bit more time to run through all those features there. I did use the handle a little bit, and I've decided to play around with some of the other things, but that is a metric, you know what ton of gimbal that you're getting for that price point there. Anyway, these are my initial thoughts here on the Zhiyun Crane 2S. Hopefully you liked it. If this video helped you out in any way, shape, or form, please go ahead and drop it a like, hit the subscribe button, add a notification button button so you don't miss future videos like this. And if you're into any kind of videography, there's probably something on the channel either coming up here soon or already on there that you may like. Big up to all the people that have hit the subscribe button thus far. We're quickly approaching 7,000, so respect to all you guys who are probably still watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Big up yourself. Peace.